In the career average scheme, there are three flexibilities. These are ways of increasing your pension. You pay more in and you get more out. But exactly how much more, and is one better than the other? So in this session, I'm going to compare two of them, the faster accrual and the additional pension. The normal scheme is that you get 1/57th of your salary added to the pension amount. And there are three extra choices with faster accrual. You have 1/55th, 1/50th, and 1/45th. These all give you a bit more built up into that pot each year. They cost a percentage of your wage. And the cost does depend on your age. The younger you are, the cheaper it is to buy them. Faster accrual does include family benefits by default. That is, if you were to die, your family will get a pension, or survivors will get a pension. And it increases by inflation, but also, unlike the additional pension, it gets that 1.6% boost over inflation if you continue teaching. For additional pension, you have to buy them in blocks of £250. And the cost depends on your age and which scheme you're in. Looking at this now, I'm going to compare the same thing to the faster accrual system, which is in the 67 age pension scheme. For the cost, you can buy these either with a lump sum or through monthly instalments. You can choose to take family benefits or not. It's an optional extra. And the additional pension does increase with inflation, but it doesn't get that 1.6% boost that the faster accrual does. So is one better or cheaper than the other? The problem, at least to start with, is that the cost for these two schemes is expressed differently. When you buy additional pension, you're given a figure in pounds and pence. To buy it through faster accrual, you pay a percentage of your salary. Now, I am a math teacher, or I was a math teacher, so I am comfortable with numbers. But let me see if I can get rid of some of these and focus on just a few to make it a lot easier to understand. To start with, let me deal with the family benefits question. Faster accrual automatically comes with it, whereas the additional pension you can choose to have it or not. The difference in the additional pension is about £200. To keep the comparison fair, I'm going to look at just the additional pension that comes with family benefits. I'm going to ignore the bit that has without. So from now on, we'll just be comparing the cost for additional pension with family benefits. Now, what can I do to simplify the faster accrual numbers? To make the faster accrual easier to understand and compare, I'm going to change it into pounds and pence. Now, the first step is to see how much extra the faster accrual is buying us. When you accrue 1/57th of your salary, that is just over 1.75%. Increasing the accrual to 1/45th increases the rate to just over 2%. 1/50th makes the rate 2%, etc. But the key to this is how much extra that is buying us. And it is simply the difference between the rates. So 1/45th is giving us an extra, well, just under 0.5%. The 50th is giving us an extra 0.2, quite a long decimal point, but it's giving us that extra part. Now, to compare it to the fast accrual, I need to find out how much of our salary is needed for this extra amount to add up to that £250, so I can compare it to the £250 block that you buy an additional pension. So the actual cost to get £250 more is I need to receive a salary on the 45th scheme of £53,000. Now, that doesn't mean an annual salary, it just means after I've received that much pay. So if I'm being paid at £30,000 a year, that's just under 2 years worth of salary, at which point I'll have built up through faster accrual that extra £250. And the same for the others. So for the 55th scheme, where you're only getting a very small amount more and you're only paying a very small amount extra, you need to receive a salary of nearly £400,000. Sounds like a lot, but of course if you're on a salary of £40,000 a year, that's essentially 10 years worth of salary. and that will build up to £250 as well. So we've got here some comparisons that allow us to start dealing with pounds and pence. So now we can work out how much it costs to buy £250 of extra pension. It does depend on how old you are, but the really interesting part is just how similar the rates are across the same line. So here, a 30-year-old, 3,596, 3,593, 3,605, they're only a few pounds of difference. And so we can use just a ballpark figure. And so I've got my ballpark figure here to buy this for the different ages. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to reduce that down to what I had for the additional pension route and what I'm getting for the faster accrual route. And we can see straight away that buying additional pension with a lump sum looks to be much cheaper than buying it through faster accrual. How much more expensive depends on your age. If you're 30, then the faster accrual is 65% more expensive than additional pension. And the difference drops to just 12% if you're 60. But why is this? Remember that both get increased by inflation, but only the faster accrual gets that 1.6% above inflation boost if you carry on teaching. So the question then is, how long will it be before it makes up the difference? For a 30-year-old, £250 of faster accrual to increase by 65%, that is going to become worth £412. So our ballpark figure here, 3,000, is 65% more. 65% more of 250 gives us a target of 412. So how long does it take for that 1.6% boost to lift the £250 up to that 412? Well, the answer is 31 years. That's for a 30-year-old. So that would mean they'd have to buy it when they were 30 and then carry on working until they were 61 for it to just catch up with the value of having bought the same thing through additional pension. It's similar for the others. Indeed, you'd have to work through to your early or mid-60s in each case. So if the additional pension bought with a lump sum is better value, are there any other considerations? Well, yes, your tax position may be crucial. The tax thresholds can make a big difference to whether you should be buying it as a lump sum or through monthly instalments. If you're earning over £56,000 this year, then some of your salary is being taxed at 40%. So if you can pay just using that amount, you are getting more tax relief than if you paid it with a lump sum, where much of that lump sum might be only taxed at 20%. Even paying over 1 year could use up the tax allowances from 2 years if you time it correctly. If you started this in October, then 6 months would be included in one financial year, October to March, and the next 6 months would be in the next financial year, April to September. Now there is one other issue to do with tax relief, and it is to do with how you pay for the additional pension. If you pay in instalments over a year or more, it comes out of your pay packet every month, and so the tax relief is taken care of completely at that point. However, if you pay with a lump sum, you have to claim the tax back, and HMRC are not used to doing that for basic tax relief. I've got another video dedicated to that subject on its own. But if you do buy additional pension with a lump sum, do push Her Majesty's Revenues and Customs to get all of that tax back. Don't let them fob you off, because it's not something they're used to dealing with. The cost to you with tax relief depends on what tax rate you pay. The cost is 20% less in your pocket as the tax isn't deducted. So a lump sum of $2,180, if you get the 20% back, really in your pocket that's costing you $1,744. And if you're paying 40% tax, it's even lower, because the rest you would have paid in tax. Now that's over £400 difference. And so if you're only just in the 40% tax bracket, it's worth stretching this out over several years, so you're not using a lot of your 20% bracket and you're using all of the 40% bracket for as long as you can. So to summarise, my opinion, and bear in mind that I am just a fellow teacher and not a qualified financial advisor, is that additional pension is better value than faster accrual unless you are going to teach well into your 60s. It only breaks even in your early 60s, so you've got to teach beyond that in order for it to overtake the additional pension. Now you can buy it in either instalments or with a lump sum. Instalments are slightly more expensive, but they make getting the correct tax relief much easier. You don't need to push HMRC to get the tax back because you never paid the tax in the first place. And you can spread the payments over several tax years. And that's very important for anybody who's just inside that 40% tax bracket. Or you can buy an additional pension with a lump sum, which is slightly cheaper. But it's a lot harder to get all of the tax relief because you have to claim it back, and HMRC are not used to dealing with schemes that don't automatically sort out basic tax relief. So it may take you some time. Now finally, is it worth actually buying it at all? Well, when I look at this and whether it's worth it, I look to see how long it is before I get my money back. And as buying additional pension is more expensive the older you are, the longer it will take you for you to get it back. Simply dividing these figures by £250 will tell me how many years it takes to get it back. Because it's index linked, this works because that £250 of additional pension has held its value against inflation. So if you bought additional pension at the age of 30, you've got it all back in just under 9 years. So by the time you were 76. And of course, it then continues for the rest of your life. It's not like a pension pot that can run out. This is a promise that you've bought to pay that for life. Obviously, if you die before 76, then you've lost out in terms of money terms. But if you died before 76, it's not something you're going to really worry about. The older you are, the longer it takes. The older you are when you buy the £250, the longer it takes you to recoup that money. However, if you're currently a 40% taxpayer, you will get that money back a lot quicker, particularly if when you take your pension, you drop down to being a 20% tax rate payer. And what that has is the equal effect. It will drop the time to recoup by 20%. So this 8.7 years, you can take a fifth off that. So getting on for just under 2 years. And so you'll have recouped the money by the time you're 74, 75. Now, I don't have any answers for you as to whether this is the best use of your money. I'm a non-expert. All I can really do is help put some numbers on this, pounds and pence, and show you what the maths is and help answer any questions that you may have.